we basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.
Well, that is President Donald Trump discussing the Israel-Iran conflict last month, and this moment made him the first U.S. president to intentionally drop the F-bomb on live TV. Trump is certainly not the first elected official to be overheard cussing, but his comment on live TV does beg the question, is vulgar language now the new normal for politics? So joining us this morning to talk all about that is Dr. Kundai Chrindo, Associate Professor and Chair of the Department of Rhetoric and Media Studies at Lewis and Clark College. Dr. Chrindo, thank you so much for being here this morning.
Good morning. It's great to be with you this morning.
So from your perspective, why is vulgar language becoming so pervasive in politics?
Well, you know, a little bit of history and context will tell us that we're not very unique in this moment with, you know, vulgarity in our politics. There's a long history of vulgarity, of pushing at the limits of convention and language. If you go back as far back as the French Revolution, for instance, that revolution featured a lot of vulgar language. So politicians have always pushed the envelope. Politicians have always tried to find ways to goad crowds and to move people. And sometimes, you know, that leads up to the use of language like we are hearing in our politics today.
Huh. So what would be some of the consequences, maybe, of politics becoming, you know, more vulgar, something we're not used to?
Yeah. So vulgarity is viewed by obviously a lot of people as a debasement or a corseting of our politics and of our language, right? And so there are arguments that, you know, this coarsening of language can lead to a coarsening of people's behaviors, and it turns people off, some people off from politics. At the same time, it's also true that vulgarity, that extreme language can galvanize identities, can make clearer what it is a political movement is for and what it's against. So those are some of the consequences. But I also mentioned two really important things real quickly, that we should always remember that language is really a shorthand for things. So, you know, when we say a word, when I say the word tree, I'm not talking about the tree that's outside my window, right? And so vulgarity has a way of condensing things, of shortening our understanding of things, and to be frank with you, misrepresenting things. So we really need to be careful when that language starts to seep into the way we talk about things politically, things that are important.
Yeah, I mean, you did just mention there too that, you know, some people are not okay with this, some are fine with it. Has any of your research told you whether, you know, voters are okay with the foul language in politics or not, or like if that would affect how they actually vote?
Well, I'm not a political scientist, so I haven't looked at the consequences on the effect of vulgarity in terms of voting patterns and those kinds of things. I can tell you that vulgar language manifests in the kinds of things that we end up voting for, the kinds of policies that we are seeing being implemented. And it's not just true for the moment we're in right now. This is something that has been true for a long time.
And you've also been doing some general research about the power of language in politics, particularly when it comes to like defining citizenship and nationhood. What is that research showing you?
Well, when you look at the way we're talking about citizenship, the language we use around who is and who isn't a citizen, the kinds of things that we associate with people who are not citizens, for instance, the thing I would like to underline that's really basic for your audience to understand is that anytime you talk about someone as other than human, you're misrecognizing their intrinsic value. And so we really need to be careful about that. The ways we pit ourselves against others as not human, as less than human, or as only certain types of humans, say criminals, for instance, that kind of way of talking about people reduces our understanding of them and predisposes us to look at them with suspicion and in what some might describe as even inhumane ways.
I am so glad that I was able to ask you that question. That was a great thought to end on. Dr. Kundai Chrindo from Lewis and Clark College, thank you so much for joining us on ARC PDX this morning to discuss this.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Of course.